Coming up in this episode, the completion of two of my paintings, which happened in October, but more about that later, as well as where I disappeared for almost 2 months and what happened during this time. In my previous episodes, I talked a lot about this painting, but nothing about the second one, which is right here. So today is only fair for me to start introducing you to this one as well. What's interesting about this painting is that it would have never came into existence if I wouldn't have moved to Dubai in 2024. It is so interesting how every decision we make every day shapes the future we will live through. The story behind it is personal as well as unique, which I will tell you, but not today. Actually, I'm thinking of filming a separate video for each individual painting where I share the full story, the process, how I got the idea and how I developed it, as well as my personal journey while creating it. Today I'll share a few details. I'm not sharing everything because these vlogs would be too long. So I'm thinking of creating those separate videos where I'll have the opportunity to talk more in depth about each painting. So if it sounds interesting, make sure to let me know. It is so strange how my paintings are evolving together, and often one painting cannot be finished before I start working on another one, and then I go through a specific process that allows me to start seeing things differently. And this is the moment when I can go back to the unfinished painting and finish it. This is exactly what happened to this home painting. It stayed unfinished since May of 2025. Only after I went through the process of creating the landscape on the Remember It painting, I was able to finally see what this painting needed. Here I'm working on these ornaments, which are taken from my country's old traditional motifs and symbols, depicted often on carpets and national clothing. The grapevines you can see here have deep cultural roots and symbolizes life, immortality, fertility, transformation, spiritual connection and knowledge, appearing in folk art as the tree of life, on coins and national branding, representing heritage, community and a vital link between nature and the divine. The vine leaf represents growth, vitality and nourishment, echoing the benefits of a healthy lifestyle, sustenance and connection to nature while supporting physical well-being. On the top of the house, I added a version of the eye symbol from Moldovan folklore. I really like how it looks, by the way. It's geometric construction, perfectly balanced. It's just so refreshing from my own eye. It is a symbol of protection, just like in all the other cultures where there is a eye symbol. It is also said that the eye watches you like the sun, so no evil can affect you. Of course, that's not the reason why I decided to add this in the painting. I chose this symbol intentionally and placed it as a part of the house because this house represents the bonds and families we all have back home, who are always watching over and protecting us, even if we are far away. Regardless where you come from, this house represents your ties and bonds. Behind the main character, I chose to paint a forest. First of all, because my country is very green and we have beautiful preserved forests. Second reason is because the tree is the main symbol of Moldova, rooted in ancient Dacian beliefs. In my culture, the tree represents eternal life, cyclical nature and connection to ancestors, as well as future generations. Ancient symbol used for protection and linking people to the divine. It connects the underworld, earth and heavens. Underworld is the roots, earth is the trunk, and heavens are branches. Wheat year is also an important symbol of Moldova and represents abundance, galore, peace and life itself. These dancing girls here are also not by accident placed, but I will talk more about that, as well as my reasoning behind creating this painting in that separate video. I wasn't sure if I will create that, but I think I will do. Back in September, I started a daily practice in the morning of sketching random stuff that inspires me, from color combinations, objects, or even compositions. It helped me get my juices flowing in the morning and start my day the right way. If I'm being completely open with you, even if painting is my main activity, I still get overwhelmed by the big paintings sometimes. Because of the scale, effort, and the time I put into planning, envisioning, creating them, I feel a big responsibility and at the same time fear that I may easily destroy months of work with just one stroke. As a result, it makes me doubt my decisions. I constantly have to deal with this sort of paralysis that makes me feel tired even on a physical level. When I'm painting, my brain is in full 100% working mode. Not only is it constantly analyzing the entire painting to calibrate my every move accordingly, it is also switching focus from the big image to the small details every few moments. It is needed because it helps to keep things harmonious and not get carried away and lost in unnecessary details. At the same time, my brain is processing hundreds of different possible combinations and actions I could take next, while is going through thousands of mental references I ever saw or thought about to generate a new concept or way of implementing an idea into the real painting. Another job of my brain during the painting process is to keep me immersed in my own genjutsu. Those who watched Naruto will understand what I'm saying. I create imaginary worlds in my mind and manipulate my own senses in order to be able to transcend that fictional reality into physical world. And just like in Naruto, my chakra depletes significantly by the end of a painting process. So because of this, I would say my morning sketches are the lowest hanging fruit for my mind. It is an easy warming up for the heavy-duty work that will follow next. It is low friction and I don't need to force myself into the flow, it just comes naturally. I started to work on this video back in October. I know it's long past due, now we are in December and it's almost Christmas. The year's still 2025. The past almost 2 months were really difficult for my family and I because my grandmother was diagnosed with metastatic pancreatic cancer, and by the time I'm filming this, she had already passed away. In October, after I got the news, I flew to Moldova to spend with my grandmother and the rest of the family as much time as we had. It's hard for me to talk about how I felt while being there and even how I feel now. For some people it is easy to put themselves out there on the internet in their low moments and share their pain. I admire that, it takes courage, but that's not my case. I always tend to isolate myself when I'm going through difficult times from everyone, even from friends and family. Now saying that, it suddenly made, I don't know, even more sense why I am into painting, because ever since I was a child, that was my way of coping with things. I am the type who suffers in silence. Anyway, last month, November, was the worst. I was mostly angry and in denial. I simply refused to accept that that's it. She is going to die and there is nothing I can do about that. While I was at my grandmother's, I planned and tried to film a few updates for this vlog, but because of how flooded I was with all sorts of emotions, this is all I was able to say. I was thinking that I'll have my grandma with us for a long time, at least until she'll be in her 90s. I did not expect for her to be gone so soon. I'm not prepared. When someone close to you gets sick or dies, it naturally makes you reflect more about life and death. I personally grew up with a very unhealthy understanding and relationship with the concept of death. I was raised in a very religious household, and I was taught since early on that death is not permanent. I was taught that very soon, God will resurrect everyone who has ever lived on this planet, and we will together live forever. Of course, that's only if they will accept that God. If not, they'll die again, and this time it will be permanent. Anyway, the point is that I grew up believing that I will never lose a family member, and even if someone died, it would be for a very short time before they'll be resurrected here on earth and we will be together again. Later, when I realized that everything I believed in was not true or real, I had to rethink and learn to understand death. Well, among all the other things, of course, but that's a subject for another video. What I was thinking about recently was that when someone dies, we don't just lose their future presence in our lives. We lose the particular way they reflected us back to ourselves. For example, my grandmother was my last grandparent, and now there is no one left who remembers me as a child in that particular way. Or another example, not from my experience, but let's say when a friend dies, and suddenly the private jokes, the shared references, the whole dialect of your friendships becomes a language with no other native speakers. What strikes me the most about grief now when I'm going through this process is how physical it is. We talk about heartbreak as a metaphor, but body knows grief as a physical sensation. The chest that feels crushed, the exhaustion, the way food loses taste. What I felt was like the body understands before the mind fully accepts. I will never receive a voice message from my grandmother again. And yet life insists on continuing with an almost absurd persistence. The morning after one life ends, the sun still rises. You still get hungry. The world keeps asking you to participate in it. This feels like a betrayal at first. The morning after she passed, I woke up, and the first thought I had was that I woke up, but she didn't. I don't know how to actually describe the feeling. Unless you experienced it, I don't think you could ever understand. And that's fine. I truly wish no one would get to understand that. While I was in Moldova, almost the entire family gathered at my grandmother's. I met family members whom I haven't seen in years, and I even met for the first time my youngest cousin, who is 5. The age gap between us is insane. He could easily be my son. Regardless of the reason why we all gathered there, those weeks were peaceful and warm and familiar. Thanks to the strong medicine my grandmother was taking to ease the pain, she was able to be as active as it was possible. And she didn't suffer a lot, for what I'm grateful. Every day she wanted to cook something for all of us. Of course, my mom was constantly helping her, but this was my grandmother's way of showing love and care. I remember since my childhood she was waking up early in the morning and cooking for the entire family. And she did that until the end. Those weeks I spent in Moldova, I will always keep in my memory. They were slow, warm, and full of love.
Ебать, я можу за кого-то кажу, пищу. Дуже buona ziua, сколько
Cine bărnăi ca-n drăguț aici, micuț? drăguță, salut, drăguță. Cine e acolo? Elvin. Și unde e Elvin? În căsuță.
Când ieșim la plimbare, am ieșim cu trei câini. Așa, toți din sat mai înainte să vedem când noi ieșim cu câinile noastre.
Ce cuculică tu aici ești? Cuculică, miculică.
Și veneam acasă la venit și o măsă.
Pe la
Jurul meu. Spus, aveam un nene și
Nene.
Adăug la gata.
Eu